Tonight on NewsWatch Ole Miss, just over 2 weeks after the chancellor announced new mask guidelines, the rules are changing again. We'll take a look at the new regulations on campus.
Today is Mardi Gras, and this weekend Ole Miss students and thousands from across the country flocked to New Orleans to celebrate. NewsWatch was there too, and we'll bring you up to date on this year's festivities. And Russia is ramping up its attacks on Ukraine. The latest updates on that conflict and the response from around the world is coming up. NewsWatch Ole Miss starts now. Good evening and welcome to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Annabelle Kinney.
And I'm Leah Blevins. After almost 2 years of masks on campus, Ole Miss students and faculty now have the option to mask off. An email sent this morning from the Chancellor's office announced that starting tomorrow, masks will be optional in all indoor spaces. Masks are still required on transportation networks and in healthcare settings. And the university says they will re-implement effective mitigation measures if necessary in the future.
That announcement comes as active coronavirus cases remain low at Ole Miss. There are a total of just 4 active confirmed coronavirus cases on campus today. In the last 2 weeks, the university has reported just 10 new cases. As far as Mississippi statewide cases, the Department of Health reported just 228 new cases yesterday. That's the lowest daily total since November 17th.
Today may be the official Mardi Gras holiday, but the city of New Orleans has been celebrating for a week. And over the weekend, NewsWatch reporter Anna Caroline Barker went south to catch the festivities. She joins us live in the newsroom now. Anna Caroline.
Thanks, Leah. Today marks the final day of Mardi Gras celebrations for our folks down in the Deep South, Fat Tuesday. Marks the return of the iconic Mardi Gras parades in New Orleans after being canceled last year amid the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's no argument that the folks of the French Quarter celebrated big this year.
Well, I moved here last year, and during Mardi Gras we still hung out and we had like little parties and whatnot, but now it's back and it's my first time really living here.
With nearly 1.4 million visitors, people from all over made their way to the Big Easy for a weekend full of parades, music, good food, and of course, wacky wardrobes.
You get off work for a week and it's like a whole holiday here where the rest of the world is still moving. And here we have stopped for a week and everybody's partying, everybody's happy.
But the city of New Orleans still made great efforts to keep their partygoers safe and healthy, with most indoor venues requiring proof of vaccination or a recent negative COVID test.
I'm just happy it's back. It was sad when it was gone, and I feel safe, you know. I like being around the people. I like having the energy. I feel like it's a good camaraderie. I feel like the people around me will keep me safe. It just makes me happy to be here.
Today may be the last day of Mardi Gras celebrations, but is also the biggest. So happy Fat Tuesday to everyone at home. Back to you.
Thanks, Anna Caroline. And since today is Mardi Gras, that means tomorrow is Ash Wednesday, and Christians across the world and in the Oxford area will be observing the start of the season of Lent. If you or anyone you know is looking for an Ash Wednesday service to attend, you can find a complete list of local services on our website.
Alumni will be returning to town this weekend in a special celebration. The Black Alumni Reunion is back and begins this Thursday, March 3rd, throughout the weekend. Alumni will be networking and giving talks. NewsWatch will be covering the action along with the Daily Mississippian, so stay tuned next week for more coverage. You can find the full calendar of events on OleMissAlumni.com.
When Governor Reeves signed medical marijuana into law almost a month ago, the Tennessee Valley Authority was quick to inform customers that as a federal organization, it has to follow federal law. Since marijuana is still illegal on the national level, that means the TVA can't provide power to any facilities that are involved in the growing or distribution of medical marijuana. What was less clear was whether or not companies that receive power from the TVA could. A recent clarification from the organization says yes, they can. That means companies like Oxford Utilities and Northeast Mississippi Electrical Power Association can provide power to whoever they wish, despite where they get theirs.
We turn now to our continuing coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Officials believe that over 600,000 refugees have fled the country since the invasion began. U.S. officials now believe that attacks are worsening with civilian casualties on the rise. CNN's Emily Schmidt has the latest details on day 6 of the attacks.
This is just one moment, but it shows how Ukrainians, some wrapped in flags, all driven to defend, responded when they saw a Russian vehicle approach.
We are fighting for our rights, for our freedoms, for life, for our life, and now we're fighting for survival.
The UN estimates at least 102 civilians have died so far. That figure likely underestimates the true toll. Ukraine's president accuses Russia of war crimes, which the Kremlin rejects, for bombing the city of Kharkiv. This video shows a government building destroyed after a military strike. A voice on the video says there are many injured I can't see. The Russian military warns of more attacks. Satellite images from late Monday show a 40-mile-long Russian convoy approaching Ukraine's capital. The U.S. Secretary of State floated the idea Tuesday of kicking Russia off the UN Human Rights Council.
These are the human rights abuses this council was created to stop. If we cannot come together now, when will we come together?
An update on this moment. Ukrainians fought. Eventually, the Russian vehicle surged forward into a country where it is unwanted, but still undeterred. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
Mississippi Senators Roger Wicker and Cindy Hyde-Smith co-sponsored a resolution today urging the Biden administration to move to take Russia off of the United Nations Security Council. Speaking of the UN, the Human Rights Council held a meeting this morning. At the end of that meeting, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov joined in a video to address the assembly, but members got up out of their seats and left in a large walkout before Lavrov could give his speech.
The UN isn't the only international group meeting about the crisis. The European Union held a meeting this morning after yesterday's application from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The EU's message was one of support for the people of Ukraine.
President Zelensky, thank you. We are together now. We will be together in the future because we are with Ukraine.
Zelensky received a standing ovation this morning after joining the EU Parliament in a video when he said that his country is fighting to be an equal member of Europe. Presidents of several states within the EU are now calling for negotiations to admit Ukraine.
Lawmakers in the United States are calling for action as well. Today, U.S. Representative Victoria Spartz, a Republican from Indiana and Ukrainian American, had an emotional plea and harsh words for President Biden for his response to the attacks.
And this president need to get this act together and exercise some leadership. What's happening under his watch is atrocity. But he must act decisively fast, or this blood of many millions of Ukrainians will be on his hands too.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle in Washington are calling for unity as the Senate works to create an aid package for Ukraine.
As the invasion in Ukraine continues to drive up the price of oil, the U.S. and its allies are playing damage control. They plan to dip into their oil reserves and bring out up to 60 million barrels of oil. Half of the barrels will come from a U.S. petroleum reserve that contains 600 million barrels underground in Texas and Louisiana. The other half of these barrels will come from stockpiles in countries like Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, Japan, and South Korea. Officials hope this will help combat gas prices that are higher than they have been in 7 years, at a national average of $3.62 per gallon. That's 9 cents up from a week ago.
More businesses are taking sides amid Russia's conflict with Ukraine. SpaceX sent Ukraine user terminals yesterday, which allow the country to access the Starlink satellite network's internet. Other companies are cutting ties with Russia. Harley-Davidson announced today that it is suspending all bike shipments to Russia, and Disney announced that it will stop releasing new movies in Russia, and Netflix is disobeying a new Russian law. The streaming service is refusing to add Russian state TV channels to its platform, something Russian law now requires all media platforms with more than 100,000 subscribers in Russia to do.
The Russia-Ukraine crisis isn't the only thing on President Biden's mind. He is preparing for his first State of the Union address as president tonight. We'll have a look at that address coming up. But first, here's a look at your current conditions.
Each year, hurricanes and major flooding threaten cities, towns, and rural homes across the Gulf states. So chances are there will be more storms and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Yeah! Sam, Elmo!
Oh, hey, Julia. Are you ready to play band with us? I'm gonna play my clarinet.
And Elmo's gonna play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
Mm-hmm. With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened?
Your friend's not breathing.
She's dead? Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
While the world watches Ukraine, the eyes of the United States will turn to Capitol Hill tonight for President Biden's first State of the Union address. CNN's Isabel Rosales has a preview of the president's speech from Washington.
As President Biden delivers his first State of the Union address, Russia continues to unleash the horrors of war onto Ukraine.
It's not a war. It's a genocide.
Addressing the world, President Biden is expected to remain firm. Despite the destruction, democracy will prevail.
The president has done an excellent job uniting our nation and our allies against Putin.
Even as he looks abroad, aides say the president's speech will also address the issues most affecting Americans, including record inflation and price spikes from the grocery stores to the gas pumps.
Inflation is at a 40-year high and hurting every American family. Joe Biden and House Democrats are responsible for this State of the Union in crisis.
President Biden's average approval rating stands at 41%. 54% disapprove, according to the latest CNN poll of polls.
We'll hear from an administration that has failed its own tests and which candidly has the public
approval figures to match.
Inside the chamber, expect a full house, and masks will be optional. Optics that could show the country is turning the corner on the COVID pandemic. Outside, fencing and concrete blocks barricade the Capitol as police agencies prepare for protests.
Security plans for the State of the Union are robust, complex, and coordinated.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
You can watch the president's speech at 8 o'clock tonight, and we will have a recap of it right here on NewsWatch tomorrow.
Today, the U.S. Senate unanimously passed a resolution in support of reopening the U.S. Capitol building. The Capitol closed to the public 2 years ago due to the pandemic, and there are still security worries in the wake of the Capitol riots last January. No decisions have been made on exactly when the Capitol will reopen, but the Senate will have to reach an agreement with the House of Representatives on how to reopen the building.
A U.S. delegation led by former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Michael Mullen, has arrived in Taiwan for a 2-day visit. The delegation is set to meet with Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen, on Wednesday. While this visit is representative of the solid relationship between the U.S. and Taiwan, it is resulting in some resentment from Chinese officials. China urged the U.S. to abide by the One China principle and stop official exchanges with Taiwan in any form, warning Washington not to further seriously damage the overall interests of China-U.S. relations and peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. Tomorrow, former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and his wife are also due to arrive on the island.
In social media news, the popular social app TikTok is extending its video time limit once again. Last summer, TikTok raised the max time limit to 3 minutes, and now you can record videos for up to 10 minutes. This longer video span time gives TikTok a chance to rival other media apps like Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube, and is expected to raise overall usage even higher than its total current, over 1 billion.
Speaking of videos, Marvel fans get excited. Disney announced a number of Marvel shows that originally streamed on Netflix will be heading to Disney Plus on March 16th. The shows coming to Disney Plus include Daredevil, The Punisher, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones. Disney did not say if this means new episodes of the shows will air on the service. Disney Plus is also encouraging all of its users to update their parental controls once these shows become available due to their graphic content.
In other entertainment news, the Oscars revealed the frontrunners for the new favorite fan category yesterday. Spider-Man No Way Home is one of 10 movies up for a favorite fan award this year, and as they have taken over the box office, they might just snag an Oscar award. Film fans have up until Thursday to vote on a movie they feel deserves the award. Fans can vote on OscarsFanFavorite.com or on Twitter just by tweeting the Academy and hashtagging Oscars Fan Favorite. The winner will be awarded on March 27th at the 94th Annual Oscars ceremony.
Baseball fans, listen up. Officials with Major League Baseball have extended their self-imposed deadline in an attempt to reach a labor deal agreement with the Players Association. According to MLB.com, both sides hoped to come to an agreement by this afternoon, but those hopes were not realized. Just this afternoon, the Players Association unanimously rejected the MLB's final proposal and reached no deal on a new collective bargaining agreement. Commissioner Rob Manfred announced that the scheduled March 31st opening day is canceled, as are the first 2 series of the season, meaning that the earliest baseball season could start is April 8th.
And coming up in sports, 2 Ole Miss women's basketball players have earned SEC postseason accolades for their latest efforts on the hardwood. And Ja Morant has been putting on an absolute clinic for the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll have that and more up next in sports.
I am a nurse,
a firefighter, a college student,
a mother, and I am an American soldier. I will always be ready
for every storm and disaster that threatens my community. I will always be there to protect my neighbors,
my family,
and my country.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
Visit nationalguard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
just found out my work party is a +1. You want to go? This is my boss, Ella.
Nice to meet you, Greg.
You're welcome. Nope, I'm high. But I'll clean the kitchen while you're gone.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
Pool party at Jesse's. Can you drive? I'm toasted.
Nope, I'm high. But I can order us a ride.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
It has been a historic season for the Ole Miss women's basketball team, and 2 players on the team received some recognition today for their outstanding performance. Standout senior Shakira Austin was named to the All-SEC First Team. This is the 2nd season in a row that she's been named to this exclusive list. Austin has been key for the Rebs all season, starting every game and averaging 15 points and 8.9 rebounds per contest. Angel Baker was also recognized. The senior was named the SEC 6th Woman of the Year. She is the first Rebel to win this award, and she has been an outstanding spark plug off the bench all year. The Rebs finished the regular season with an overall record of 22-7, and they will be in action next at the SEC Tournament quarterfinals in Nashville this Friday at 2:25 p.m. Catch that action on the SEC Network. And keeping things on the court, the Rebel men's basketball team is gearing up for a big showdown tonight at 6 p.m. when they take on the number 6 ranked Kentucky Wildcats in Lexington. Ole Miss will have their hands full with a Kentucky squad that can get it done on both ends of the floor. They are 7th in the nation in rebounding average and 1st in the SEC in scoring margin and points per game. The Rebs will lean on sophomore guard Matthew Morrell to lead the way offensively. He is fresh off a 20-point game versus Texas A&M, and his ability to score and facilitate will be needed to open up a tough Kentucky defense. Tip-off from Rupp Arena in Lexington is tonight at 6 p.m. Tune in to ESPN to catch the action. Now taking things over to Swayze Field, where the Ole Miss baseball squad is set to take on ULM tonight. The Rebs come in having won all 6 of their games so far this season, making them the only undefeated team in the SEC West. And they've also soared to number 2 in the national rankings. Southpaw Hunter Elliott will be on the hill for the Rebs, and righty Henry Shuffler will start for the Warhawks. Ole Miss will look to get the bats going early and light up the scoreboard, and so far they've had no problem doing that. The team has scored 71 runs in 42 innings of play. Be sure to come out to Swayze Field and catch the first leg of this midweek double dip. First pitch is tonight at 6:30 p.m. Now switching gears to some NBA action, the Memphis Grizzlies picked up a nice win against the San Antonio Spurs last night by a score of 118-105. Ja Morant was the star of the show once again, dropping 52 points, 2 of which came on a poster dunk that had everyone's jaw on the floor. This is Morant's 3rd game in the last 4 where he has scored over 40 points, and he is showing basketball fans everywhere just how special he is. Center Steve Adams was a monster on the glass last night, grabbing 14 rebounds, and forward Kyle Anderson dished out 6 assists. The Grizzlies improved their record to 43-18, and they are holding strongly at their spot as the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. Memphis appears to be getting hot at the right time, and their athletic, bruising play style has been too much for many teams to handle. The team will take a trip to Boston for a matchup with the Celtics this Thursday. Tip-off from TD Garden is at 6:30 p.m. Tune in to TNT to catch the action. And former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez was arrested yesterday and booked into Santa Clara County Jail today on a charge of attempted murder. He's being held without bail and he will appear in court tomorrow. Police said Velasquez was identified as the shooter in an incident where an adult male was shot at least once. The male was transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Velasquez is a two-time former UFC heavyweight champion, and he is widely considered to be one of the top heavyweight fighters of all time. The San Jose Police Department is still continuing the investigation, and they announced today via Twitter that the circumstances surrounding the situation are still unclear. And that's all I've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at rebel_watch for the latest sports updates.
Thanks, Carson. It's a big day for Yellowstone National Park. Find out what major milestone the park is celebrating. Coming up next on NewsWatch.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Anytime they're playing music downstairs, it's loud. I go downstairs, see what they're doing, see what music they're doing, see what they're dancing to. I go play piano downstairs, they come get involved. Leah has a drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Happy birthday to Yellowstone National Park, which is celebrating its 150th birthday today. President Ulysses S. Grant signed the Yellowstone National Park Protection Act on this day in 1872, making it the first national park not only in America, but in the world.
Yellowstone is the oldest of the 63 national parks across the United States and is home to the world's greatest concentration of geysers, hot springs, steam vents, and mud spots. It spans 3 states, mostly in Wyoming, but it crosses into parts of Montana and Idaho as well. The park doesn't have any big plans for its birthday, but it is hosting virtually and small in-person events to celebrate.
150 years. Well, I hope whoever's prepared to blow out 150 candles has been saving their breath.
Absolutely. Yellowstone deserves it.
That's all for tonight. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, I'm Leah Blevins.
And I'm Annabelle Kinney. Make sure to follow us on social media at NewsWatch Ole Miss for the latest updates on Ole Miss and beyond.
Thank you and good night.